Hi, everybody. I figured I'd just check in with a quick video note given the major news this week, which is Donald Trump will now be the 47th president of the United States. And most people are either ecstatic about this news or totally devastated. And I thought it'd be a good opportunity to express just some thoughts on the election, offer some context, and what investors should think about going forward. And I'll share 8 points to keep in mind. The first is that most important considerations is your emotions. Do not rush to make investment decisions based on who's in office. And I repeat this very often, making drastic decisions based on who's in the White House is always the wrong approach. And I remember that before the 2008 election, I had a friend tell me that if Obama won, he would liquidate his entire portfolio and flee the country. He actually did. During the 2016 election, I had colleagues tell me they would move their client's portfolio to cash if Trump won the election. And both decisions turned out to be incorrect as the markets hit all-time highs during each of their presidencies. And the same is true today with the markets also hitting all-time highs under the Biden presidency. The next thing is don't try to time the market. Although there's clarity around the outcome of the election, some investors may feel the need to do something. While investors may be tempted to adjust their portfolios, no one knows how the markets will perform in the short term. And in many cases, timing the market for exit and then re-entry simply results in selling low and buying high, exactly the opposite of what you want to do. What we do know is that dozens of potential factors can affect the market, making it difficult to base market strategy on a single factor, such as a presidential election. Historically, the best and worst trading days have tended to be closely timed. Investors who try to correctly time both a market exit and a return run the risk of missing out on a strong performance and impairing their long-term investment success. Remember, timing the market is futile. The best and worst trading days happen close together. Three is don't bet on certain sectors based on who's president. Given the rhetoric of each party, investors would assume that certain industries should perform better based on who's in office. While that logic seems sound, it doesn't always play out in the real world. The oil and gas industry is a good example of this. Under a Republican administration, the drill baby drill mantra would lead many to believe that traditional energy companies would thrive while clean energy stocks would plummet. Interestingly, the exact opposite occurred when Trump was in office. On the flip side, under the Biden administration, oil and gas stocks boomed while clean energy companies fell. One's investment thesis does not always work out neatly, no matter how logical it seems. The fourth point is, if necessary, we should include portfolio guardrails if you're susceptible to making some of these emotional decisions. Not everyone has monk-like self-control, allowing them to stay totally unemotional during a presidential election. Instead of trying to suppress the desire to act, which may not always be possible, if necessary, you can open a small cowboy account. This account should be limited to 5%, but preferably less, of your investable assets and can be used to go wild on any gamble you wish. This can allow investors to satisfy their urge to speculate based on political outcome while keeping their serious money insulated from imprudent decisions. And the fifth point is keep historical context in mind. Making investment decisions with a broader context instead of a single data point is best practice. Therefore, understanding history is imperative when it comes to structuring a sensible portfolio. Keep in mind the most important market statistic is this. Since the end of World War II, the S&P 500 returned over 11% per year when including dividends. If you're more risk averse, this point may hit home a little bit better. A portfolio of 60% equities and 40% fixed income has produced an annual compound return of 8.1% since 1860 with a Republican president and 7.8% annual compound return with a Democratic president. I always try to emphasize to clients that if they stick with their strategy over the long term and remain overweight in stocks, they will likely be happy with the result, regardless of who's in the White House. The sixth point is that you should still consider the planning opportunities. And now that we know that Trump will be president, it seems more likely that the benefits associated with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act will be extended. This is good news for high-income households and ultra-high net worth families looking to tax efficiently get money out of their estates. That being said, I don't advocate waiting to do planning. For example, if you'd like to do Roth IRA conversions at current rates or set up trusts to remove money out of your estate, doing so today is still sensible. No one knows what the future holds, and planning sooner rather than later is typically the best approach. And the seventh point is focus on what you can control. Investors are well served by focusing on the things that they can control. This includes setting appropriate investment goals, maintaining a high savings rate, keeping a balanced and diversified mix of investments, being tax conscious, staying disciplined. and maintaining long-term perspective. These principles are timeless and especially useful in times such as these. And finally, the eighth point is do ignore the noise. Most of the news and content disseminated during an election year is what I like to call Nourishkeit, total nonsense. It's just a way for various news networks and social media influencers to get more engagement. During these emotionally challenging times, your investment North Star should be this mantra: politics and your portfolio don't mix. It'll be interesting to see what policies unfold in the coming months and years. And should you have any questions, feel free to and don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'm happy to help.